Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House in Springfield, Vermont. For generations, we have envisioned a better world, an earth made fair, and all of her people one. We welcome all who wish to join us in fulfilling that vision. My name is Bill Brink, and I'm one of the trustees. If you're a guest with us today, we invite you to simply enjoy being with us. You are welcome to join us after the service for refreshments and conversation. Thank you.
The world was given to us as the common home. God planted a garden, which became the home of humanity. We received a garden, and a garden implies care. It implies cultivation. It implies attention. Let's bequeath it as it is received to those who will come after us, the good and beautiful garden of God's creation. Thank you.
And our first song today is Earth Was Given as a Garden, number 207.
Cut off the last. Yeah.
This is some excerpts from a book named Heart to Heart, a conversation on love and hope for our precious planet by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Of all the various species of animals on this planet, human beings are the biggest troublemakers. That is clear. Peace and survival of life on Earth as we know it are threatened by human activities which lack a commitment to humanitarian values. Destruction of nature and natural resources results from ignorance, greed, and lack of respect for the Earth's living things. We humans are the only species with the power to destroy the Earth as we know it. Yet, if we have the capacity to destroy the Earth, so too do we have the capacity to protect it. It seems that with development, the whole world has become much smaller, but the human consciousness is still lagging behind. If we want a better future, we must examine our mindset now. We need to recognize our nature, and then, if we have the determination, there is a real possibility of transforming the human heart. Compassion, loving kindness, and altruism are the keys, not only to human development, but also to planetary survival. Real change in the world will only come from a change of heart. What I propose is a compassionate revolution. A call for radical reorientation away from our habitual preoccupation with self. It is a call to turn toward the wider community of beings with whom we are connected, and for conduct which recognizes others' interests alongside our own. Everything is interdependent. Everything is inseparable. Our individual well-being is intimately connected both with that of all others and with the environment within which we live. Our every action, our every deed, word, and thought, no matter how slight or inconsequential it may seem, has an implication not only for ourselves, but for all others too. We are interconnected. We are all interconnected in the universe. And from this universal responsibility arises. The creatures that inhabit this earth, be they human beings or animals, are here to contribute, each in its own particular way, to the beauty and prosperity of the world. Through developing an attitude of responsibility toward others, we can begin to create the kinder, more compassionate world we all dream of. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. This is my simple religion. There is no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. My philosophy is be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Compassion is the radicalism of our time. Although it might seem insignificant, when we multiply it by billions of others who might do the same thing, we can have an enormous impact. Ultimately, each individual has responsibility to help guide our global family in the right direction. Good wishes alone are not enough. We have to assume responsibility. So there is hope for a better future. It depends entirely on our actions. Karma. Pray for all of us that together we succeed in building a compassionate world through understanding and love, and that in doing so, we may reduce the pain and suffering of all sentient beings.
Now it's time to say our
Wait,
affirmation
hold on.
together.
Wait, can we stop for a minute? I'm going to read the rest of the book.
Oh,
I think Larry's
okay.
missing a page. May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I, too, abide to dispel the misery of the world. May all sentient beings, oneself and others, find constant happiness through love and compassion associated with wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Julaine, for sharing the rest of the story. Great words from the Dalai Lama. So now is the time for us to say our affirmation together. And June is going to take away the closed captioning. So would you recite with me why we're here? Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve the needs of all beings, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with the source of our being. Thank you. We have an opportunity now to give to the ongoing work of this congregation and Food for the Family Center. Thank you.
And during our offering, we'll have an opportunity to listen to a song from Plum Village, which is where Thich Nhat Hanh did much of his work. We'll be talking about him in a little bit. And feel free just to hum along. There's a few drones in there, so hum and be part of this beautiful song.
We are here today to talk about the care for our common home. And we are inspired by some religious leaders who have a lot to say on this subject. You'll hear from others in a little bit. I have a reading from Thich Nhat Hanh. Real change will happen only when we fall in love with our planet. Only love can show us how to live in harmony with nature and with each other, and save us from the devastating effects of an environmental destruction and climate change. I'm reminded of what Earl Hatley said last week, that the earth is sick. And it's the following the path of love that will heal the earth. So we will now have Anne Marie talk to us about what Pope Francis has to say.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the Laudato Si. And this is on care for our common home. It's written by Pope Francis and a few of his helpers. He does have a few of those. It was published in May of 2015. And he took as his guide St. Francis of Assisi, who he chose his name. He is the first Pope Francis ever. And he took his name because St. Francis of Assisi really speaks to Pope Francis's heart and the way that he moves and works in the world. This particular encyclical was modeled after, or maybe took its inspiration from St. Francis of Assisi's Canticle of the Creatures, which was written in the 13th century. So it was one of the very first, it's a song, it's a poem, and it's a canticle, but it was one of the first Italian literary pieces. So that's pretty impressive. Laudato Si means praise be to you. And this is what he's trying to do, is to remind us of all of the creatures and all of creation. Pope Francis leans into religious scholars and spiritual leaders and philosophers and saints and science from all over the world and through time. In the encyclical, Pope Francis specifically calls for a dialogue and action between and among all of humanity. And this is the first time that any encyclical has ever done that. It's not just to Christians, it's not just to Catholics, it's to all human beings. And he is asking us to care for the natural world. It's no longer an option, is an integral part of social justice. He talks about three models that come, because he leans into the Bible, of course, but he talks about three models that come from Genesis 1 and 2 of caretaking and the earth. The first model, you probably have all heard this one, is the dominion model, and in which human beings shall have dominion over all creation. Well, some people have taken that and they have gone from dominion to domination, and they've taken it as a license to own parts of the world and use all those resources that they have found and can make money from. And Pope Francis says, no, that's not what the teaching is. The other model is the stewardship model. And in that one, creation is entrusted to us as caretakers. The last model is the kinship model. And in that one, we recognize the interconnection of all creation. We are all made of the same stardust. So care comes from love in this particular model. It comes from love, it comes from concern, it comes from devotion for our universal family. Earth is not seen as apart from humanity. It's not merely where we live. Earth is our common home. So there's several different, let me see, I think there's like 6 chapters altogether, and I won't go into all of that, but I will say a few points. One of the things that Pope Francis wants us to do is he wants us to identify the particular parts or signs that are currently happening in our world that it would be good to study and contemplate and have conversations and dialogues about. He's really into dialogues. So the parts that he would like us to be sort of really looking at and talking about are 6. And the first one is pollution and climate change. And he says this is very closely linked to our throwaway culture. And I know that you all know what that means. Second one is water. He says people are dying daily from preventable diseases, waterborne illnesses, and drought. He says access to safe, clean, drinkable water is a basic universal right. The third one is loss of biodiversity. We are losing whole species. The Pope says all creatures have intrinsic value and must be cherished with love. The fourth is the decline in the quality of human life, social degradation, society breakdown, a loss of the sense of the broader world, that all the different people matter. He says we must think wisely, we must live wisely, think deeply, and love generously. The fifth one is global inequity and injustice. And the Pope this one really speaks to his heart, the care for those who suffer most. Those would be the poor, the folks who don't have very much, maybe don't have anything. So many suffer, for so few to dwell in comfort. We must hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. And number 6 is weak responses. We must move beyond our indifference and our willful ignorance. We must stop dismissing calls to respond. Our summits are not enough, he says. So we must take time to examine these signs of the times in light of our faith and our beliefs. We must examine them collectively and internationally and intergenerationally. What will we bequeath? What will we bequeath to those who follow us? So the Pope also clearly states that our social and environmental crisis is a spiritual crisis. And it comes from modern, here's a great word, modern anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism, which means basically human-centered consciousness, me first thinking. It is we human beings above all who need to change. So in the second half of the encyclical, Pope offers concrete steps to heal this damage, to heal this rupture between humanity and nature. And he gives some very concrete examples in the encyclical, even down to, turn off the air conditioner. Yes, he does. But some topics, basically a couple more. He would like us to create a better sense of ecological consciousness so that we don't have this human-centered consciousness so much. We have ecological consciousness. Integral ecology is a big part of the second half of the encyclical. And integral ecology considers the environment, society, cultures, economies, and daily life, how we live our daily life. Another principle that he asks us to take a good look at is the principle of the common good, where every being and every person has value and must be considered in all decisions regarding future solutions and progress. So if I decided to dredge the harbor or build a solar farm, let's say, then I would be encouraged in this particular model to look at how that was going to affect the now of things, for sure, but how is it going to affect the future of things? And how is it going to affect all life going forward? So he would encourage us to have dialogues and communication, to open ourselves to education so that we can look into, well, what is all the parts of that? What are the implications? And how can we best do it in a way that respects life? So he's talking about sustainability. Sustainability is the ability of humanity to coexist with the biosphere. And that calls for a new lifestyle. And he's pretty strong on that, a new lifestyle. And it's not easy because it says it's going to be some sacrifice on the part of humanity. There's going to be hopefully some restraint in consumerism and thoughtfulness with every purchase and decision. Live simply, live wisely. Just a little more. So the other big piece, which I love, is he encourages us to take time to attend to the beauty, the wonderful gift, the garden. Take time to attend to the beauty that is all around us. Take time to attend to the beauty that is within us. Take time to renew yourself. Behold the gifts and the bounty of our common home. There is grace in the moment. There's grace in the world. Nothing small is insignificant, and everything counts. Thank you very much. Julaine will have some words for us on Thich Nhat Hanh.
Hello again. For my part of today's service, I'm going to speak a little bit about Buddhist leader Thich Nhat Hanh, who's like a hero of mine, and some of his followers, the Earth Holders. Thich Nhat Hanh, as we mostly know, I think probably this whole congregation knows, he was a well-known religious leader who transitioned from this planet only last year. And he was the founder of the Order of Engaged Buddhism and a prolific writer and artist. That art that we had up during our offering was one of his pieces. So he likely needs no introduction to this congregation. But what is engaged Buddhism exactly? In a nutshell, it is a practice by which one follows 14 precepts or rules that Thich Nhat Hanh came up with, a few of which, only a few, are non-attachment, living simply, just like what the Pope said, letting go of anger, and we'll talk about that in a minute because it really has to do with the environment, speaking truth and not creating discord, and staying out of politics. There are others, and they all tie together in a way of living daily life. The belief is that by developing peace and serenity through ethical and conscientious living, we can help our society make the transition from one based on greed and consumerism to one in which thoughtfulness and compassionate action are of the deepest value. Engaged Buddhism is a subject that really never ends, so I'm not going to go into more details today, except to suggest that anybody interested in it, they can go online and look up an article called The 14 Precepts of Engaged Buddhism, which was written by Thich Nhat Hanh himself in April of 2017, which is where I found the above descriptive quote. And I highly recommend it as a quick read, and then not quick, time to think about it. So today's focus for my time is on a movement that sprang out of Engaged Buddhism, and that is earth holding. And earth holding emerged from Engaged Buddhism as kind of a natural branch. It has a suggested formula, for want of a better word, for caring for the earth specifically. Earth holders see the earth as a bodhisattva, a compassionate, enlightened being who cares for others. So they're taking earth and saying, earth is another one of the beings. We're going one step further and saying, earth is a being and we're part of earth. So here's another quote from John Bell, who wrote an article about earth holders. He said, earth holding is a mindful approach to earth justice work. The aim of earth holding is to bring mindfulness, compassion, healing, and non-violence to protecting ourselves, each other, all beings, and the earth. Also from Bell's article, the building blocks of earth holder action. So I'm going to actually put up a slide for you to look at these 6 building blocks. There's 6 interconnected elements of a holistic mind-based climate action and earth justice practice. You can check this wonderful article out online from the link in our suggested resources, which there's a page out on the table that has that link. So now I'm going to put them up for you so that you can see them visually as well as hear me talking. And here we are. So the first step is cultivating wise view. Impermanence and interbeing are the key elements of what Buddhists call wise view. Nothing lasts. If we are attached to an outcome, any outcome, we're likely to be disappointed. So we're back to non-attachment. Knowing this deep inside helps us to weather the storm and respond appropriately to change. Interbeing is something that we as yogis understand. It's in our principles. Number 7, respect for the interdependent web of creation, of which we are all a part. We are one with each other and one with Bodhisattva planted earth. So our second step is healing and transforming racism and social oppression. For an earth holder, this is the recognition that racism and the suffering of climate change are interlinked. Here's a quote from African-American Zen teacher, Angel Kyoto Williams, and she said, "The reason we continue to degrade the earth is that we continue to degrade each other." So, as we heal the wounds of racism and white supremacy, we will also be healing that which keeps us in an unhealthy relationship with the earth. So if we think about what Anne Marie was mentioning, the Pope was talking about not taking advantage of the earth. And unfortunately, oftentimes when we take advantage of the earth through mining or whatever it is that we're doing, we're also taking advantage of the people who are living in the area where these things are happening. So it's all, once again, it's really interconnected. Thich Nhat Hanh and the Pope, I don't know if they ever met, but boy, they sure had a lot to say that was right down the same path. The third one is healing grief and despair and fear. And it might not seem like that has much to do with protecting our planet, but we need to find ways to accept and embrace our feelings. Only then will we be able to truly be effective. Fear and grief can just swallow us whole. These emotions and fears interfere with our ability to love and show compassion to ourselves, to those around us, and to the earth. The fourth, building strong communities. Communities such as this congregation hold us up, inspire us, and keep us on the path of compassion and healing. Strong communities, which have no boundaries of class, race, or politics, can serve as refuges, sanctuaries, think tanks, space. Think about what we're doing today. A refuge, a sanctuary, a think tank, a renewal space. Number 5 is ethical living, which is pretty self-explanatory. Thich Nhat Hanh asks us to keep in mind reverence for life, generosity, kind speech, sexual responsibility, and mindful consumption. Respecting each other, living an ethical life. Once again, these are pretty self-explanatory. I think we really actually know how to do this. It's just that we don't always do it. And number 6 is engaging in compassionate, wise action. This is mindfulness-based environmental justice work. We can practice activism without indulging in dirty politics. From the John Bell article, we can use kind speech, invite conversations about what kind of environment we want, and skillfully link racial justice with climate justice, with economic justice, with immigrant justice, and so on, without blaming or shaming. We aren't going to solve the climate crisis by personal behavior alone. That's effective, but it needs to be more. While we certainly need to attend to our personal and family carbon footprints as one step, Earth holders are also encouraged to take steps to be more active, to help find Mother Earth good partners in government. So once again, we could probably take each of these points and discuss them for hours. Today, my goal is to introduce the concept of earth holding and engage interest for further discussion and discovery. And maybe we'll put some of this into practice in daily life in a mindful manner that centers our focus on the idea of building earth community, our theme for the year. When I looked more into earth holding, I was struck by the idea that we can do some of our activism by practicing mindfulness and meditating daily on the process by which we can help the earth. Earth holders are not attached to the idea of fixing climate change. It's acknowledged that things are changing and that many will suffer because of those changes, as over time, Mother Earth will reach a new equilibrium that may or may not include humans. While we humans are here, an Earth holder's goal is to mitigate suffering for all of Earth's creatures and for Mother Earth herself. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Love Letters to the Earth. There are times when we have not done so well. There are times when we have not loved you enough, times when we have forgotten your true nature, in times when we have discriminated and treated you as something other than ourself. There have even been times when, through ignorance and unskillfulness, we have underestimated, exploited, wounded, and polluted you. That is why I make the deep vow today, with gratitude and love in my heart, to cherish and protect your beauty and to embody your wondrous consciousness in my own life. I vow to follow in the footsteps of those who have gone before me, to live with awakening and compassion, and to be worthy of calling myself your child. I'm gonna take this down. In our story earlier, the Dalai Lama referred to practicing radical compassion, the act of being kind to all creatures and to the earth. All three of the insightful religious leaders we have discussed today have called for essentially the same thoughts and actions. Compassion should be and can be at the heart of environmental and social justice work. So let's practice radical compassion. Anne-Marie and Sharon are going to lead us through a special Earth Holder meditation, which is practiced by Earth Holders worldwide. But before we do that, I want to close with a few words again from the Dalai Lama's book, Heart to Heart. There are only 2 days of the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. Today is the right day to love, believe, do, and mostly live positively to help others.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you. So I am going to invite you to participate in a guided meditation on becoming an Earth Holder, just what Julian was sharing with us. Now, this meditation has 2 parts. One is stopping, and the other is deep looking. So we'll stop the mind from wandering by bringing it back to the breath and then to the body. And in this guided meditation, a statement is given for the in-breath and another statement is given for the out-breath. The key words will follow those statements to help you focus. And we'll ring the bell in between each parts. Well, Sharon will ring the bell because she's there with you. So I invite you to settle in a comfortable position and to close your eyes or soften your focus and hold your body, nice and steady and still like a mountain. Breathing in, I am aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I am aware of my out-breath. In-breath, out-breath. Breathing in, I am aware of my body. Breathing out, I tenderly relax my body. Aware of my body, relaxing my body. Breathing in, I am aware of my feelings on climate crisis. Breathing out, I embrace my feelings. Aware of my feelings, embracing my feelings. Breathing in, I become aware of the collective suffering in response to climate crisis. Breathing out, I embrace the collective suffering, including that of the earth, with mindful breath and stable posture. Aware of collective suffering, embracing collective suffering. Breathing in, I am aware that many animal and plant species are threatened with extinction. Breathing out, I am aware of the growing threat to human health and safety. Species threatened, humans threatened. Breathing in, I look deeply to see how I may have contributed to global crisis. Breathing out, I embrace the sorrow and regret of my own harm and the collective harm. Individual contribution, embrace the sorrow. Breathing in, I recognize how individual and collective views have brought about discrimination, exploitation, and destruction to ourselves and Mother Earth. Breathing out, I ask Mother Earth for understanding and forgiveness. Recognize collective views, understanding, and forgiveness. Breathing in, I recognize that I am also part of the solution. I can contribute to sustainability and social justice via my daily practice of mindfulness and compassion in thoughts and speech and behaviors. Breathing out, I envision the positive change and concrete steps I can take in my daily life. Daily practice to change, concrete actions. Breathing in, I am in touch with the deep love and aspiration to be an earth holder for myself and all of Mother Earth. Breathing out, I rejoice in strength and solidarity of the collective awakening. Aspiring earth holder, rejoicing. Breathing in, peace is in the breath. Breathing out, joy is in the being. Peace, joy. I thank you for participating in this guided meditation, and I invite you to come gently back to our sanctuary.
Now that we're back from our meditation journey, thank you, Anne Marie, for leading us as earth holders. Let's take a few minutes and think about what this has brought up for you. What are you feeling now? You see, I've got an easel over here and a marker. So I stand ready to write down what you come up with. Those of you on the Zoom screen, those of you here, let's hear it. What's on your heart and mind? Yeah. Yeah, somebody there. Yeah.
Well, I should probably hesitate before disagreeing with Thich Nhat Hanh, but if things like the climate crisis are to be resolved, the solution is going to essentially require complete compliance with what needs to be done by everyone. That's not going to happen without the force of law. So abstaining from politics is not an option if we want to succeed.
If I can just clarify what I said, if it was misleading. Thich Nhat Hanh wants us to abstain from dirty politics. He does want us to be involved. He wants us to vote for leaders who will help the earth. He wants us to abstain from dirty politics. But I agree with you.
That's an important word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm writing it down.
I left it out.
Yeah. Okay, with the understanding that, yes. Now we can agree with Thich Nhat Hanh.
Did he use the word dirty?
No. He used something similar, but that was my word, and I will find it for you, Dick, and I will email it to you.
Okay, and I saw a hand on Zoom. Okay, it looks like Pat.
Yeah, so I got a invitation in the mail from, and I haven't opened it, but it's called Population Connection. And it says on the envelope, we can end climate change, open for the solution. So I think that issues around population control and contraception and that sort of thing is very important. But I don't think that's the only solution. And one charity that I give to, or a couple of them, have to do with it's like micro loans to women, and it gives women a chance to start a little business. And I think there's a correlation between that of women who have more control over their lives and having fewer offspring. So I think that's something to think about in terms of helping people, is helping women become independent and have choices.
Very good. Agreed.
So,
Dan and then Bill.
The word that keeps coming to my mind is the word enough. And that can be applied to lots of things. What is enough gardening space for one person? What is enough population of humans for the earth? What is enough medication for a day? What is enough washing of the dishes for the day? Etc.
Good questions, Dan. Okay, Bill, and there may be somebody on Zoom. but-
this probably falls under the first one, but getting involved with local groups like PEPR.
Right. And do you want to just say what you like about Peter?
Well, they're involved with lobbying for environmental concerns.
What is the word?
The-
Vermont,
I can't.
What is it?
come up with it, right?
Public interest research group.
Oh, I got it wrong. Peter.
Yeah,
Vermont
Yeah.
Public Interest Research Group. I think that's it, yeah. They do a lot of good work.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did I see somebody on the screen up there? No? Anybody else? I think just what we're doing here today is important. Talking about this together.
Julaine,
Yeah, one of the things that comes up for me and that has come up a lot is that some people, we all have our different things that we're good at, and some people, like Anne, are good at going out and being an activist and being right there. And some of us aren't as comfortable with being right out there. And I think that one of the really, really important things that we can all do is to support emotionally the people who are out there doing the work. Activists get burnout a lot, and they need our support, our not just applause and go get them, yay, you're doing a great job, but is there anything that I can do to support you? Because when you're involved in this type of work, you know, there are days when it can seem hopeless. And we need to be there to support the people who are doing the work. And if, you know, there's a protest for something and you can't go, but maybe you can drive somebody or do something. It just, I want to bring up that there are other ways of supporting. So, you know, if you are not able physically to go do something, but maybe you might be able to do something, and it might even just be listening to the story of someone who has come back from some type of event, that maybe something deep has come up for them. We need to be there to listen intimately.
Thank you, Julaine. Anne Marie.
oh, I just wanted to say that there was one thing that I didn't share that really touched my heart from the encyclical. And it is something I do, and it was talked about in a service about 2 years ago here by Quayum. And it's about finding sacred spaces and really being with the sacred in that space, you know, looking very closely and taking the time to be with nature. That's all.
Thank you, Anne Marie. That's great. Hey, Steph.
I just actually wanted to touch on what Julaine said. As somebody who I am very passionate about a lot of things, but I can't physically go out and, you know, support some causes, mainly because of my health. I'm, you know, a full-time mom, you know, stay-at-home mom. I like doing behind the scenes, and I think Julaine is very correct. Behind the scenes can be just as important as the people who are going out and like physically marching and doing all that. I've used my marketing experience to bring like clients on board with like behind the scenes. You can collect donations for people, you can make sandwiches for the people that, you know, little things that you can do, and those things make such a big impact, as she pointed out, because you're helping support those people when they're putting so much time and energy into a cause. So so a lot of people, for years, I didn't think it was important. I was like, oh, me making like 10-15 sandwiches can't be that important. But I'm telling you, the people who you provide them to are more than, you know, grateful for it. So those little things that might seem small do make a huge impact.
So right, Steph. Thank you for that. And writing it on your blog.
Yes, I use my blog to push a lot of causes. I usually charge for it, but I don't charge nonprofits or organizations or any sort of cause, because word of mouth is so important. And the way the internet works these days, you can get things out there.
Spreading the word. Yeah. Well, we really are at time, so I invite you to come up and write more if you want to afterwards, but time to move on. We will have a song, This Pretty Planet.
spinning through space. Your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun going down, gentle blue giants spin us around. All through the night, safe till the morning light. This pretty planet spinning through space, your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun going down, your gentle blue giants spin us around. All through the night, space, your garden, your harbor, the morning light. This pretty planet spinning through space, your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun going down, your gentle giants spin us around. Safe till the morning light.
Someone was trying to help me unmute, so it kept going back and forth. Okay, I'm sorry. I have a beautiful prayer written by Pope Francis, included in the encyclical. It's called A Prayer for Our Earth. All-powerful God, you are present in the whole universe and in the smallest of your creatures. You embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that we may protect life and beauty. Fill us with peace, that we may live as brothers and sisters, harming no one. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey upon it, that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing and be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we are profoundly united with every creature. And as we journey toward your infinite light, we thank you for being with us each day. Encourage us, we pray, in our struggle for justice, love, and peace. Blessed be.